Welcome back to Gold Derby. I'm Christopher Rosen. I'm joined by Joyce. Joyce, we're back again, one day after the Emmy nominations, to now predict the Emmys.
And I just literally finished one set.
Yes. You can right now at our Gold Derby, you can predict the Primetime Emmys and the Creative Arts Emmys. So a lot of predictions. We're only going to right now talk about the Primetime Emmys, Joyce.
Because I have not done my creative art.
And these are our first picks. So certainly will change a lot over let's see. July 13th is today. August 13th.
Oh my God, you're going to do math.
I'm doing math. It's 3 months, basically. 2 months, right? 2 months.
Do you know the day of the Emmys?
It's September 18th, I believe. Is it a Monday?
12th.
September 12th. Okay. Oh, it is still a Monday, and it's the 12th, right? Because the Creative Arts Emmys are over Labor Day weekend. That's right. I remember.
Yeah. There you go.
I'll be here on the 18th to talk about the Emmys. No, I remember. It's the 12th.
Well, we could talk about the 2023 Emmys because we're going to be championing The Bear.
Yeah, we were just talking about this. We love The Bear. The Bear is better than most of these shows we're talking about. It's the best show. And we have to keep it in the conversation between now and next July because it will be a contender next year. You can watch all the episodes.
Now, like the internet and Twitter is like catching up on The Bear. So a lot of profiles this week on Jeremy Allen White.
I was just hoping, I'm hoping it's not like, I mean, I guess it'll peak here throughout like July and August, and then people will bring it back in like you said, like the winter fall award season will like maybe be a good run for it.
Well, we're getting ahead of ourselves
because we're going to talk about the 74th Emmys, Joyce, not the 75th, and our predictions in a lot of categories. So we'll start with comedy and then go to drama and then go to our beloved limited series, which is now really tightened up around like 2 shows. But for comedy, Joyce, we've talked about this a lot in our run up to this, and I had Hacks winning the whole time, and now I have Ted Lasso winning. So I have Ted Lasso, Hacks, Barry, Only Murders, Abbott Elementary, The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, What We Do in the Shadows, and Curb. So I went with Ted Lasso.
Okay, yeah, that's fair. That is the safest prediction, and I almost put it in first, but then I decided to be contrarian because I'm like that.
Sure.
So I still have Hacks in first. I'll probably, well, depending on what happens at Creative Arts too, I might get back to Ted, but who cares right now?
I was looking at it and I was like, we've got everything I've said about Ted Lasso and Hacks throughout the last like 4 months that we've been doing. I feel like we've been talking about the Emmys for months. And I'm like, that's right, we have. And Ted Lasso has been like way out of mind because they're not airing new episodes and blah, blah, blah. And Hacks had a good second season, I think, that people really enjoyed. And the finale was great. But then I looked at the nominations and I'm just like, wow, the Emmys really love Ted Lasso. And while they also like Hacks, I felt like Ted Lasso overperformed where I thought it would. And Hacks did about as well as I thought it would.
I don't think it necessarily, I guess maybe the difference is you were expecting Ted to underperform this year.
Yeah, it was whelmed. To go back to our 10 things I hate about it. I felt like
but we're not in Europe.
Hacks is going to be whelmed. I mean, Ted Lasso is going to be whelmed.
But I think, a lot of times in the second year shows explode, like they do better. Because it's like they won the first year, especially if they've won, then like people catch up to it. And obviously it's seen, like we know they were watching it this time, or they were about to watch season 2 this time last year when it premiered a week after nominations. And then like we said yesterday, clearly any show that premiered early on in the eligibility period had a jump.
Right.
On the more recent spring shows. So I don't think getting 20 noms is like super surprising. Like I think it overperformed in acting.
Right. Yeah.
But it also went down in like directing and writing.
But possibly to its benefit, right? Because it could, even though I don't have it winning in either of those, which we'll discuss, I guess.
Yeah, like that could help it, but it's like I just mean like it's not like every single branch is going ham on it still. So it's just like acting, and we know how lazy the actors can be.
Right.
In their categories. It's just and with the unlimited ballot favors shows of high visibility. And we know they watch Ted. So that is like the obvious pick to win comedy series again.
Do you think so? Here's what I have: Only Murders in third ahead of Barry. I was very tempted to put Barry in third, but I wonder if Only Murders will get the boost Not that it matters because, you're not winning, maybe, but like, will Only Murders get a boost from airing now? I feel like the response to it has been really strong the second season.
Maybe.
Maybe.
I don't think it's the same thing as like Ted last year, because Ted was obviously winning last year, and I don't think anyone expects or thinks Murders is winning right now. So I also think a lot of people think Abbott can win, but in misdirecting and editing.
Abbott only had in quotes for a new show, but Abbott had just 7 nominations,
which is great
which is great, but it was 4, and I believe 4 of those are in acting. 4 of the 7.
Yeah, so if you count it by branch, so if you don't count comedy series, which is the main award, then it just got casting, acting, 1 branch, and writing. So those are its 2 branches.
It didn't even get directing, did it?
No, it didn't get directing or editing.
Which was a shock. I think that's actually a snub, because I feel like the pilot directing could have easily got nominated, because I think it's Randall Eisner, right?
Had like Schitt's Creek winning directing, and I would not say that episode is in the upper echelon of best directed comedy episodes in history. So.
All right, so we'll talk about this a million times. I guess I could definitely see Hacks winning. It would not surprise me, but I just think they maybe are going to go back to Ted Lasso in the end.
Yeah, like that's totally fine.
Here's one where I absolutely think Hacks will win. Comedy actress, Joyce. I have Jean Smart winning. What a shock.
Yes, I have Jean, and I have Quinta Brunson in second.
Me too.
I think she's the only person who can upset her.
I think that's true. I put Kelly Cuoco in third, because they got to rep our pals at the flight attendant. And then I put Issa Rae and Rachel Brosnahan in 4th and 5th, and then Elle Fanning in 6th. Not again.
Yeah. It's still Jean's to lose.
It would be great if Quinta won, and I wonder, I guess I could talk myself into thinking that she could pull off an upset, because there was a lot of enthusiasm for Abbott Elementary on the social media apps. And I know that doesn't translate to Television Academy voters, but people are very excited about Quinta Brunson specifically. And I wonder if there will be less of a push to get Jean an Emmy, since she won an Emmy last time. You could argue that could happen. I don't think it will happen, because I would say actually Jean Smart was maybe better in season 2 of Hacks than season 1. I think she had more to do, more depths to mine. But we'll see.
Yeah, I feel like Quinta has a better chance in writing.
Yeah. Nothing else to say about that one. Let's go to actor choice. I think we might both agree on this one too. I have Bill Hader winning his 3rd Emmy.
I'm not abandoning my guy Bill.
No. And I actually have Steve Martin in 2nd place instead of Jason. I know that's insane, but I do think that, again, if anybody else can win here, I do think it could be Steve Martin, because I think you could have Bill and Hader and Jason Sudeikis split their own votes, maybe, because they're of similar age, of similar fan bases, and then Steve Martin kind of swoops in and wins. I would not be shocked at all if that happened. And I think having Only Murders season 2 right now would only help him pull off an upset.
But why not Martin Short?
Because Martin Short is going to bow out. If I remember reading correctly in the in his post nominations interview with Dave Itzkoff. Right?
But then remember, they both expect Bill to win.
They do both expect Bill to win, and then Steve Martin would say. So Steve Martin in this interview was he wanted Martin Short to bow out and say that Steve had a terminal illness, I believe. So it would get Steve.
Let me find the interview.
So
okay, so here, this is the New York Times. Yes. Are you going to be able to support each other on Emmys night, or will it get cutthroat? Will it be each man for himself? Steve Martin says, I suggested to Marty that he withdraw, but he doesn't say why. It's just a mystery. And then he starts a whisper campaign that it's because I have a fatal disease.
Right.
Martin Short says, Steve told me this last night, and I said, I don't quite understand. It seems to service you more than me. Steve Martin says, I said he comes off like a hero. He's stepping back for his friend. Martin Short. So if this all happened and you're sitting there and you hear, and the winner is Bill Hader, what do? Steve Martin, leaping up from his seat. Well.
Amazing. Yeah. Steve Martin is
just have Steve Martin, Martin Short do all their post-nomination reaction interviews for every single show.
They should have them host one of these award shows. I know
remember the Oscars.
The Oscars would have been great. I know they tried to get the two of them and Selena Gomez, it seemed like. But what about the Emmys? I know it's on NBC this year, but be wonderful. No, I could see Steve Martin really winning. I do wonder. I do think that could happen, and it would be great. I would love. Honestly, no matter which of these three top contenders wins, I would be very pleased. I love Jason Sudeikis. I think Bill Hader rules, and obviously he's twice winning, one before, and then Steve Martin is Steve Martin. So no fails here.
I would just say like the only people who are really out of it are Donald Glover, former winner.
Yes.
And Nicholas Hoult, even though he's great on The Great.
Yeah, I agree. And Martin Short, I think, is like a distant fourth of the top four. But still great on
so anti-Short.
I'm not anti-Short. He's great on Only Murders, but Steve Martin is like I think Steve Martin is like the premium.
But I think like I love them both, and I think it's hard to choose one over the other, and I think a lot of people will have that problem.
It could be an issue.
It's like similar to Brian and Jeremy on Succession, I think.
Right.
Especially if there's like it's one thing if they're both too far ahead, because then it's like either of them can win. But when there are other viable alternatives, it's harder.
Right. For supporting actress choice, I have Hannah Waddingham winning another Emmy for Ted Lasso. She's in first for me. Then I have Hannah Einbinder and Alex Borstein, followed by Janelle James and Sheryl Lee Ralph. And then Juno Temple, Sarah Niles, and Kate McKinnon rounding out my top 8.
I'm going with Janelle James for now.
Wow, I love it so much. Please, yes.
I think she can do it.
Tell me why. I would love to be convinced.
And this could be like the Abbott win.
Okay.
Because we know they're watching the show, right?
Yes.
And yes, this category does favor repeat nominees like back to back, like we've had it with Kate McKinnon, Alex Borstein, obviously. Annie Murphy could not do it because that was the last season of Schitt's Creek. So yeah, Hannah Waddingham is the safe choice. But Janelle was like clearly the breakout scene stealer of Abbott Elementary. It did really well in acting. It also got Sheryl Lee Ralph in, and I don't think this is a situation like the Martins where you're kind of torn between the two of them. No offense to Sheryl Lee Ralph, who's a queen and a legend, but I think most people will gravitate toward Janelle James because it's just more of the populist appealing performance, and she has all the one-liners. She has so many fan cams and so memeable and highly quotable. And yeah, like I think if people don't want to go back, like we have multiple TED people. We have more TED people like
than last time.
Yeah.
Sarah Niles got in.
And then yeah, so and I think like Hannah Einbinder could also win. Like I really love her performance this season. And yeah, Alex Borstein is back. So I don't know. I think if they don't want to go back to a former winner, and Janelle is just kind of like the new exciting face, basically. Or if you haven't even watched Abbott Elementary yet, but you hear about, it got 7 nominations and like all your friends are talking about it. It's only every episode's just a 22-minute commitment.
Great. I love it so much.
Easy. Yeah,
that's
like
another
they might be
thing.
like voters might be watching it right now. That's you can I burned through the whole season in one night. I started at like 8 and I finished it by like midnight.
Because it's true. We watched it. We caught up in like in the first 6 episodes. I think we watched in a night and then did like the rest as it kind of aired or like aired the next day on Hulu because we don't watch linear television, Joyce, like so many people.
Yeah, we've talked about this. Yeah.
I could see that happening. I would say another reason why maybe Hannah Waddingham would not win is while I'm assuming, like we said, her episode would be no weddings and a funeral.
So we could have 2 funeral submissions in here.
And Alex as well. All of those are like nothing in Ted Lasso season 2 for Hannah, I felt in that a specific episode was incredibly different or like something new compared to what she did in season 1. I think her romance, her character's romance with Sam was really nice and like worked really well. So that was like slightly new shade, but I'm like, I think all of these, and then like you said, like Alex Borstein, obviously a previous winner, and Hannah Einbinder, I still think would not win. So Janelle James, I have in fourth, but I could see it happening. It is definitely like the most standout of those 4 performances because it's so different, because it is so reliant on jokes rather than like comedy. Like a lot of these are like,
Yeah, like I laugh out loud more at Abbott Elementary than I do at Ted Lasso. So
sure, because Abbott Elementary is like a legitimate joke driven show, and I think the other shows have more like are more like based on the auteur comedy of like last like 10 years. Abbott Elementary
who should be winning this
Office.
category. Sarah Goldberg, who is not here.
People were really upset that she got snubbed
because she should be winning. Even though if she were here, I don't think she would win.
No.
But she should be winning. She's an Emmy winner in my heart.
People were really upset that she was,
because it was a robbery.
It was definitely strange. Let's do supporting actor in a comedy. This one I don't know. I have Brett Goldstein winning. Thor: Love and Thunder star Brett Goldstein. Spoiler alert. Then
Has
I have
anyone written that story yet? Brett Goldstein is gonna win his second Emmy because of
Thor: Love and Thunder. Not yet, but I'm sure one of our sister sites might come up with it. Henry Winkler for Barry, I have in second. I have Toheeb Jimo in it for Ted Lasso in third. I threw him in there. I think Sam was great. And then I have Tony Shalhoub, Tyler James Williams, Anthony Carrigan, Nick Mohammed, and Bowen Yang rounding out my 8. I don't, like we said, I think Brett Goldstein won his Emmy last year in part because of season 2. So it would be like almost a double dip win, but I just don't think that Henry Winkler could pull it off. But do you have Henry Winkler winning or what?
I have Brett here. I have Henry and Anthony in second and third. I really want Anthony Carrigan to win an Emmy before Barry is over. And I don't know when it's going to happen.
I don't think for this year.
He really should have won for season 2.
Right.
Ugh, so rough. But yeah, so interestingly, in this category, we have not had a repeat winner under the new system, although you can say that Tony Hale won his second one under this one and his first one under the tape system.
Right.
But under like the system, like fully, it's like after him it's been Louis Anderson, RIP, Alec Baldwin, which is just like a waste for SNL that year, Henry, Tony, and Dan Levy, and then obviously last year Brett. So I think he could just kind of be like a default pick as well, especially if you're like, he's already proven last year that he could beat his co-stars, right? It became very obvious last summer that he was like the Ted Lasso supporting pick, right?
Right. And also he's better in season 2 than he was in season 1. And this is
and he basically won last year because of season 2 as well.
We think that, I mean, that's obviously like what probably happened because he's like big episodes were airing like when they were voting. But at the same time, if you're just actually like sitting there like, wow, he was great season 2 is a bigger, he has a bigger role and like has more depth and more challenges. And he's also honestly funnier in season 2 than he is in season 1. So I feel like the whole package is there for him to win again. I'm just like, are people going to like be like, oh, didn't we just give him an Emmy for this same season? But no.
Yeah, because they haven't repeated here yet.
Right.
But so the thing is, we could have just a copy and paste of all the comedy categories.
Yeah. I mean, I think you could.
It'll be very boring. Yeah. So in part, I'm also hoping that doesn't happen.
Right. But you still have Brett winning here.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to think of who. I mean, I guess it would be Henry Winkler would be the with the choice, but
yeah, and yeah, I don't know. I just like I can't predict Anthony Carrigan yet.
No.
I really want to.
Let's go now. So that's comedy. Let's see. Next we got comedy directing choice. Then I have Bill Hader winning for 710 North from Barry. My runner-up is Only Murders in the Building, The Boy from 6B. Then Hacks, There Will Be Blood. Ted Lasso, No Weddings and a Funeral. Only Murders, True Crime. Atlanta, New Jazz. and the Mrs. Pat Show, Baby Daddy Groundhog Day, rounding out my
The multicam slot,
yes,
which
of course.
a lot of people forget about when making predictions.
Yeah.
So
yeah, Bill Hader winning an Emmy for this directing. Get Bill Hader an Emmy.
Get Bill Hader an Emmy for directing. This is the one he wants. And this is his best chance yet because they did the right thing and only submitted him.
Yep.
Unfortunately, I don't think Barry is winning comedy series. I don't think, sadly, it'll ever win comedy series because I think it's too dark for them, even though I too, just like with Abbott, laugh out loud at Barry than I do at like Ted Lasso or Maisel or something. But yeah, this episode is The Chase on the freeway, and it's really the directorial achievement of this season. And like he's won 2 DGA awards for Barry already and no Emmys, so he already has the DJ or like directing support. And directing is usually not like fully linked to series, but they're kind of lazy here in that they tend to default to the series winner, and it could be very vote splitty. So if there are multiple nominations from a show, that show tends to lose. Like last year, Ted Lasso did, it had 3. And then it goes to like the next series competitive show, like Hacks last year. Right. So this year, the only double nom is Murders. Which actually it bombed at DGA, and you could say overperformed here because it got 2. And I don't think that's gonna win series, unfortunately. So I think you could say, like, if you have Ted winning series, like it makes sense to predict Ted here as well, especially since it only has 1 nomination this time. But I think you could also argue that that's an underperformance for it because it submitted more than 1. It didn't just submit 1 like Barry did, so it went down. And I think in a way, maybe like we've talked about how the like similar to Hacks, like the Ted and Hacks directing, not, like it's totally fine. Right. But it's not very flashy and doesn't really stand out like the Barry direction. So I think in a way, those 2 shows could kind of split that vote as well, just as like the totally fine direction from a series competitive show. Because I think like Hacks and Ted are top 2 in series over Barry.
The other thing I was thinking is that Ted and Hacks have never had to go against Barry in this category.
Yes, it's true.
So while I don't think I have Hacks ahead of Ted here, not even just because I think
I do too.
Won last year. I put Boy from 6B in second because I think it's actually the best directed episode of these episodes. It's like an incredible achievement. And while I don't know if people are watching the shows or whatever, and maybe they're just gonna be like, whatever, it doesn't matter. But I mean, if you're technically ranking these, it should be Bill Hader and the Boy from 6B as 1 and 2. So that was why I did it. But I don't know. I guess we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, like the totally safe choice if you're predicting Ted for series is to go for Ted here.
It's true, but if you look at our odds, Barry is still in the first. I mean,
because everyone knows this is like the best directed episode. Like you have Ben Stiller tweeting about this, so he and Bill can both win directing Emmys.
I don't know if I have that though. Let's see. I don't think I do. When we get to drama, we'll see. All right, for writing next, for comedy writing, Joyce, the nominee, I have Hacks, the one and only winning. It's the finale, I believe, of, no, is it the finale? Or is that, yes, it is the finale. Hacks finale, wonderful episode. Runner-up I have is Abbott Elementary, and then Only Murders, Ted Lasso, Barry, starting out, Barry 710 North, and then the 2 What We Do in the Shadows, rounding out the 8.
Yeah, I also have Hacks repeating here and Abbott in second.
Now, Joyce, correct me if I'm wrong. Last year they gave these awards out on the broadcast. Is that right?
Yes, they always do.
So if you're going to predict the Quentin Brunson upset win here, it's a no-brainer because it would be a great TV moment, and they would love to have Quentin Brunson win an Emmy on TV.
When people make these arguments like this, it's like, oh, it will be a great moment. The voters are not, you're thinking in the mind of a producer, like a Steven Soderbergh, like, oh, we want like Chadwick Boseman to win, like we think he's gonna win.
I
But
wouldn't
the
be surprised
voter
if
is not
people vote
thinking
like this,
about
though.
that.
I do think people maybe do vote for this, honestly.
But, like, okay, then why didn't Chadwick Boseman win?
Because people liked Anthony Hopkins more.
Well, yeah. So, like, what if they like one of these other scripts more?
I think they could, for sure. And I think, like we said, I think the Hacks finale is like the best episode the show has ever done. So I have it winning, but I do think they also really like Abbott, like we said. So if I think I could see it winning. I don't have it winning. I'm not predicting it, but I'm just saying it would make
No,
for a
like
good TV
I
moment.
think Abbott can win, but I don't think it'll win because people want that moment for Quinta Brunson.
I guess that's maybe true, but
Like
it
it'll
doesn't
just
hurt.
win because they like
Doesn't
the
hurt.
show and they maybe like the script if they
Right.
paid attention and like read the script.
Right.
But yeah, so like last year as well, like Ted had 2 nominations here and
Mhm.
did not win, and Hacks won. So you could say, you know, it underperformed again because it submitted multiple and it just went down to 1.
Right.
So I think like those 2 categories will be a real test of the actual support for Ted, because you could say it didn't face a lot of the usual competition last year, you know?
Yeah, but I do think, I guess I would say if Hacks does well in both of these categories, then I think you could argue that it certainly would be a winner in the series.
Well,
Because, but I'm like, because Hacks also didn't have to face this. Like, this is a much stronger lineup of comedies, I think, than what we had last year.
right, but Hacks also won these 2 categories that a lot of people were predicting Ted to win last year.
Right, but I guess I would say, like, the reason I mean, you could, I guess I don't disagree with what you're saying, but I think a devil's advocate would be like the reason Ted Lasso got so many doubled up nominations here and directing last year versus this year is the competition this year is much stronger.
Oh yeah, no, I agree. So I
So-
think that's also why even though it overperformed in acting, that's why it underperformed here. So
Right.
I think like there'll be a test to see like if
Sure.
if it wins like writing directing, because Ted also lost WGA to Hacks already, so
Yeah.
it hasn't won a writing award yet. So
I just don't, I can't predict it. I think I have, like I said, I have it in 4th place here for writing. I don't think.
and
it would
Hacks is
even-
just I mean it's literally about comedy writing.
Yeah, it's the writer show. And the finale, like I said, is like the way it's written, I
Yeah.
think is incredibly good. And the way it kind of like pieces everything together is awesome. Drama series choice. I have Succession winning. Twist. But then I have Euphoria in 2nd, buoyed by its 16 nominations. Squid Game in 3rd, Severance in 4th, Stranger Things in 5th, Yellow Jackets in 6th, Ozark in 7th, and Better Call Saul in 8th.
Okay, I don't even know where I have Euphoria.
Not 2nd?
Not 2nd. Oh, I have it in 6th. I don't really like when I do these after like maybe the 4th slot, I'm like, I don't know about the rest. Like, yeah, Succession. So
I mean, what are we going to say? I will say, I think there would have been an easy. I don't think Squid Game performed. Like, I expected maybe Squid Game to perform even better than it did, at least in mass total.
I know I have Euphoria in
nominations.
7th. I don't even know. I can't even read numbers anymore. Okay.
Wow, you're turning into me.
Go on. I know.
But Squid Game only, in quotes, had 14 nominations. I figured it would have like 17 to 19. And so the fact that it was like a little less than that and Succession was just a blowout, I feel like I can't in good conscience predict Squid Game to pull an upset here. So
Succession maxed out. It got basically every nomination it could.
Yeah.
Like basically its only miss was for Alan Ruck, eldest son.
Right.
Poor guy.
Right. He's always underestimated, Khan.
Yeah. Like, but he's the eldest son. He must be considered.
He must be considered, but not for an Emmy.
Yeah. And like that's an insane amount of nominations for a contemporary show. Like this is not a Game of Thrones or
No, it's absurd.
like flashy show like that. You know, and any tech heavy show, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I have Severance in 2nd.
Okay.
And Squid Game and then Ozark.
So we both have Squid Game in 3rd. I think you and I are both, and I have Severance in 4th. My argument, again, like I just think Squid Game, not necessarily the runner-up here, if there was one. I think Severance, you can make the case they really went for it hard. So not a wrong.
Severance did well for a first year show.
Yeah, and it could win like maybe a significant award, either in directing or whatever. For Drama actress, Joyce. I have Zendaya winning for Euphoria. Laura Linney in second for Ozark. Melanie Linsky for Yellow Jackets. And then Jodie Comer, Sandra Oh, and Reese Witherspoon for The Morning Show. My reason for, I think I had Laura Linney for winning for a while. The enthusiasm for Euphoria was, dare I say, euphoric. And the fact that Zendaya was so praised for her being the youngest producing Emmy nominee, I think, ever, when they announced the producer credits, and also one here previously. I think also her submission episode is absolutely stunning. There's no way I don't think she's going to lose, honestly. I think she's going to win.
Yeah, Zendaya. This is like with Ted, like Zendaya is the obvious choice.
Right.
But I, of course, being contrarian, I have Melanie right now.
So Melanie is a strong contender. She's definitely she's doing the work, as they say, Joyce.
Yeah, and Yellow Jackets did well too for a first year show and for a Showtime show.
Did really well, and as we'll talk about when we get to like the directing and writing categories, I think it overperformed. It got 2 writing nominations, which I was shocked by personally. So it definitely was a liked show. Got in for series, obviously, as well. I could easily see it. I don't think, and she won, Melanie Linsky, at the Critics' Choice Awards, if you recall.
Which, I mean, not surprising in the least.
So they love they love presaging the Emmys, perhaps. So I could see it happening. Maybe I'll put her in second while we're talking. I just did.
Yeah, no, like Zendaya is totally the safe choice, because she has the episode, like you said, and that'll be her submission, but submissions don't really matter anymore. But it's obvious they're watching the show and they like the show, right?
Right,
So
and that she won the first year when
she
the
won.
show was,
Yeah, she won when she was
not as
her
strong.
show's only above the line nomination.
Right,
last
and now
year.
it's like a major factor. So,
but I will also just say that, again, we have not had a repeat winner under this system in this category either. Like, that could just be a quirk, obviously, but sometimes when a show does well in its second season, sort of like going back to the thing with Ted, it doesn't necessarily like presage like it'll win everything either.
right.
Like, remember when Elizabeth Moss, obviously Handmaid's won everything the first season, and then everyone was predicting the show and her to win again, and that did not happen. And
Right.
in season 2 of Handmaid's, it also increased its nominations total
Right.
as well. So yeah, they haven't had a repeat winner here. That's just a stat. I don't think you need to hold to it when you're predicting Zendaya. Like, I think she can easily win again. But I don't know, like, something to think about. Like, sometimes, like, a show does explode in the second season, but it's also depending on the circumstance. Like, it could just have run up against a bigger juggernaut, like Maisel in season 2, same thing. Like, got more noms, but it ran up against Fleabag, which had
Right.
fewer noms, less craft heavy show, but it was just the show of the moment.
Right.
So
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I could see it. I just think that the other thing is, I think that if you're again, I don't know if people are actually thinking about this and they're voting, because they might just be like, I like this and I'm going to vote for it. But I think that there's a greater challenge for Zendaya's performance than Melanie Linsky, personally.
I mean, sure.
But I think that has to count for something.
But again, they could also just feel like
We like
we
Yellow
already
Jacket.
awarded her, and this is like,
Right.
Melanie Linsky, she's been around for
Sure,
almost
and she's
30
worked
years.
with
Yeah,
and she's
so
worked with
it's like,
everybody.
you just
Right.
be like, this is our chance finally to vote
Right.
for her as well.
And she is great on the show. It's a really good performance. I definitely think she's the best part of it. So if they like the show, then they would love her.
I
that
think
kind
this
of
is
thing.
also, like the obvious place to award that show.
Right. For drama actor, Joyce, I have Brian Cox. You come with me with love. Come to me with love. Love him.
You need to do
Succession.
his impression of Shiv.
I'm gonna work on it. I'm gonna rewatch and work on it. I have Jeremy Strong in second for Succession, Lee Jung Jae for Squid Game, Jason Bateman, Adam Scott, and Bob Odenkirk rounding out the top 6. But I went with Brian Cox. I hope he wins.
You will be shocked to know that I also have Brian in first.
Wow, way to go.
I know. I don't know / think if he'll actually win, but I'm just gonna support him right now.
So if you look at our early odds, he's like an overwhelming favorite to win.
I mean, he should have an Emmy for this role.
So the reason I've talked about this a lot, but I think if you look at the season as a whole, it's not Jeremy. It was more it was more a Logan season than a Kendall season. So I think and obviously Jeremy Strong won already. So there's not a push. While they're both, you could argue they would split their votes. I actually don't think it's that much of a choice. I think if you like Succession and watched it, you would be like, well, Jeremy had some really incredible moments, specifically in the finale, and like I think Too Much Birthdays, he's awesome in as well. I think Brian overall the whole season had a much more to do. So I would say that's him. And then for Lee Jung-jae, he was definitely a popular winter pick. And I think specifically when people were like putting Brian and Jeremy on the same level, but maybe this is bias because I'm like self-selecting, but I feel like more people are now saying like, oh yeah, Brian is actually the bigger part of season 3, or the part that people are remembering more from season 3 than Kendall. So that's why I hope he wins and holds off Lee Jung-jae, basically.
I think this is also another category under this system in which we have not had a repeat winner.
Right.
So if you want to eliminate Jeremy because of that, go ahead. I think he like Zendaya can also repeat, but I think Zendaya has a higher probability of repeating in her category because her category is more open, let's say, and this category is actually very competitive.
Yeah.
Even though I don't think like Jason Bateman's winning.
I don't think Jason Bateman's winning, and I have Adam Scott in 5th. But I mean, like it would not. If he won, would it be like the biggest shock? They went hard for Severance. It would be like obviously an upset, but like, it is pretty competitive, I would say, on that front.
Yeah, like this is a very strong category. Overall, I think Lee Jung-jae is the safe pick because you could obviously he won SAG, and you could just say Jeremy and Brian are gonna vote split. And Squid Game is obviously a huge show. But yeah, I think like with Brian, I think you could also want to award him as well. Like if you do know like you had awarded Jeremy last time and it had done so well in acting. It's hilarious to think how it got 0 nominations or 0 acting nominations for season 1.
Just deranged. It's deranged.
And now it has 14. It just set a new record.
It's unbelievable.
So yeah, but
the other reason I think you should pick Brian, if you're a Television Academy member who happens to be sitting here watching this, though I doubt it, is he has the goods for season 3, right? Like, and like we said, the way Jesse Armstrong makes that show, you never actually know which characters are going to step forward and which are going to step back. So I think like going into season 3, I do think people felt like Kendall was going to be like become the center of gravity on the show, and he totally went against that, right? Like it felt like he actively tried to move that around.
Wanted them to like face, like they expected them to actually like face off in season 3, and they completely subverted that,
which is great. That's what makes the show, I think, so incredible. But I'm like, if you're a voter who's like you said, like Joyce, you said like we want him to win an Emmy for this show before it goes off the air. Who knows what they're gonna have Logan do next season? You know what I mean? Like maybe he takes. I don't think that's true because, like I said, he's like the engine of the show, but you could imagine a world where he has less to do than he did in season 3, or doesn't end up in a big confrontation at the end, and maybe they set up something else, and then you're into season 4 and 5 and whatever. You kind of missed your boat on like a locked in season 3 where he is just on fire the whole time, drinking his energy drinks or smoothies to get his sperm count up. It's just like gotta give it to him.
I mean, I will say that they're not unsentimental, or they're not sentimental. They're unsentimental. Like I don't like if they're sentimental, then a lot of Emmy list people would have won Emmys.
Right. That's true.
So I think they do ultimately, or most of them, just vote for who they like the most or what they like the most.
Well, I think hopefully they like Brian. That's, I guess I would say. Joyce, the drama supporting actress. I have Juliet Garner winning for Ozark, followed by Ray Seahorn for Better Call Saul. I have her in 2nd. Then Sarah Snook for Succession, Jung Ho Young for Squid Game, Christina Ricci for Yellow Jackets, Sydney Sweeney for Euphoria, Patty Arquette for Severance, and J. Smith Cameron for Succession.
Wow, we have the same top 2.
Nice. I actually think you could argue that she could win, that she got in, that she could win. Right.
Yeah, totally. Like she's completely untested against all these people because
Right.
she's never been here before.
And while you said she's not the sentimental choice, I mean, they're not sentimental. I think she could be the sentimental choice, I guess.
well, this is also not her last shot because she's eligible again next year.
Right.
And the part 2 of the final season of Better Call Saul just started on Monday.
Right.
So it could be maybe like a Ted situation where now people are like, maybe they feel forced to pay attention to her because she finally it feels like we all bullied them into finally voting for her.
And if
bullying works sometimes.
And if the final season actually does probably what people expect or think, like she should have a big final episodes. So like whether
the thing is like everyone is just wondering what happens to Kim because she's not in Breaking Bad.
I actually don't think Kim dies. That would be my hot take.
I
think she's alive. So I would say like it could end up being like really good for her to have those episodes airing as people are voting. Maybe she doesn't get it next year, but then this is the year she wins, basically.
Yeah, and she actually has 2 nominations.
Yes.
She also got into short form for Cooper's
And
Ball.
while Julie Garner is amazing on Ozark, I do think the conversation around Ozark's final episodes was a little muted. And I don't know, I could see her not winning. So I have Ray in second. I might put her in first, I guess. But for now, I'm keeping Julia.
I kind of feel like maybe I shouldn't predict Ray to win since I didn't predict her to get nominated and she got in. So I don't want to jinx her.
Nice.
So maybe I should just keep someone else in first. Julia, I think it's again like a default choice for them, like 2-time winner. Also, similar to comedy, all the 2020 winners are back this year. So all of them can win again this year, which would also be super boring.
Yes.
So, but I think she's kind of like the Aaron Paul of that show. Like, the supporting like borderline lead who, like scene stealers, like fan favorite. So they could both win 3 Emmys for their shows.
Right.
But yeah, I like the last season of Ozark, not the same hype or same reception as season 3, which everyone agrees was their best season.
And if like we said, if Better Call Saul sticks the landing, it could have a Brett Goldstein effect on Ray.
I know, it's just like we know the actors are not really watching that show. Like they're so all over the place. Better Call Saul still has never won an Emmy.
Right.
Those Emmys for their web series don't count. That's a completely different show, different title. So it doesn't count for the mothership, Better Call Saul. And it only got 7 nominations this time.
So it'll be pretty wild, but I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
For supporting actor choice, I have Matthew McFadden winning for Succession. Tom Wambsgans' rise.
Get the toilet wine ready.
Unbelievable performance in season 3. Just owned it. Should win in a runaway. I have Kieran Culkin in second, Billy Crudup in third, Oh Young-soo from Squid Game in fourth, Totoro and Christopher Walken for Severance in fifth and sixth, and Park Hae-soo in seventh, and then Nicholas Braun in eighth. Sorry, cousin Greg.
I have Kieran and Matthew 1, 2.
Wow.
I think
going with your boy.
My boy, yes.
You love him.
I think this is Succession's best chance at an acting win.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, hopefully it's got 4 nominations, 3 nominations, whatever it has here.
I don't really see Billy repeating.
No.
Your morning show did not do that well.
No.
Even though it got the random Reese nomination, but congratulations to Reese for making it in.
Love to see it.
Yeah. And like I think this could be similar to lead actor in 2020 when the 2 of them started to nick. Like Kieran and Matthew might be so far ahead, 1, 2 in whatever order, that doesn't matter, that there are 6 other people behind them.
I think that's fair. The reason I have Matthew in first is like we've talked about, it feels like an Emmy winning performance, the performance that would not win with the Critics' Choice Awards and like other groups. But when you get to the Emmys, it wins because it's undeniably an actor performance that wins an Emmy.
I know. And I feel like I need to predict him because that's what I've always said about him. But I do feel like people also just love Kieran and Roman as well. So I don't like, he's in a way kind of like Julia Garner on that show. So yeah.
I don't know if they do this again, like I just said for Brian, but I'm like, Matthew has the goods to win for this season. Who knows what they do with Tom next season, especially a supporting character. He could be like,
Well, Tom is now in his good graces.
You think he is, but I'm like, that's the genius of the show is I think it zigs and zags. So people are like, you're right. Like based on the finale, I'm expecting Tom to have like a, Darth Vader to the Emperor Palpatine role in season 4, but maybe he's not. Maybe he like flops and maybe
that's
Greg is
plot,
ascendant.
That's plot mechanics. Like,
right. But
like no matter what they do with the character, I think he's still going to be great.
He's going to be great, but he might not have as much to do, I guess. Like the thing that made Tom so special this season is it was a lot of like POV and a lot of like conflict with him where the plot allowed him to have these like really weighty kind of internal thoughts and debates about his own relationship with Shiv and like his own place in the family and all these different things. Is that hold up in season 4? I mean, I don't know. Maybe it does, right?
Yeah.
Like, but
I mean, like that's always been the push-pull with him. Like, I think he should have won for season 2. Like, he should definitely won for season 2. It's like, I think it's like similar to like Anthony Carrigan. Like they just missed the boat on both of them for season 2, and now it's like I don't know if they're ever going to win. Yeah. So yeah.
For directing, Joyce, I have Squid Game, red light, green light winning. Here's where I have Squid Game winning. I have Severance in second for Ben Stiller, the We Are. Succession in third for All the Bells Say, The Yellow Jackets pilot, then Ozark, then Too Much Birthday and Disruption, both from Succession in 6th and 7th. Not a sign of quality, just a sign of multiple episodes probably splitting the vote. I think if it was just one Succession episode here instead of 3, All the Bells Say would win very easily. But
or even 2, like it's easier to win with 2 than 3.
So I could see Severance winning because they really liked it, but I do think they also really like Squid Game, and I think that's why I have it winning.
Yeah, I have the same top 3. I think it's between those 3.
Right.
This is also another very competitive category.
Really good stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, I was about to put Severance, and then I don't know, I just did Squid Game. I might go back and forth on this until September or so. But like I also feel like we're always wrong predicting this category because they've done some crazy shit here under the system. Like, remember when Stephen Daldry won for The Crown?
Yeah. Also, I mean, so the reason I would say Severance could win, that finale is the best episode, and it's like
that is their best episode of the season, and it's a tight 41 minutes.
Right. And I think
some of the longer episodes that season.
I do think that helps a lot, and I can see it winning. I mostly just have Squid Game here because they obviously really like Squid Game. That's it, basically. I don't know. They also really like Severance, but I think Squid Game is more of a phenomenon and more widely seen and just an easier kind of win to me.
Yeah, I feel like is what's in first right now? Is it Squid Game or Severance in first?
And our odds, Squid Game is first with Severance in second.
So maybe Squid Game won't win because like we're always wrong on this now. Because like last year we predicted the wrong Crown episode, and then we had the wrong Succession episode the year before, and then Jason Bateman out of nowhere with Ozark winning 3 years ago.
So maybe it'll be Severance, is what you're saying. For drama writing, Joyce, I have Succession, All the Bells Say winning. The only Succession nominee here for Jesse Armstrong.
The only one, they only submit one, so
good for them. I have Severance in second. The We Are, as we just said, great finale. The Yellow Jackets pilot in third. Then Squid Game, Better Call Saul, Ozark, and another Yellow Jackets episode, F Sharp, rounding out the top 7.
A wild choice, really. Yeah, Succession, Jesse Armstrong, 3 for 3.
It feels very much that he, like we said, like I think if there was one or two Succession directing episodes, I would have had it winning. Certainly the finale of Succession was incredible and should win. So I don't even think this is that close, even though I love the Severance finale. I think the Severance finale is more of a success of filmmaking and editing than writing.
Yes, I think that episode as a whole, and I think the reason people respond to it is because of all those elements together. but I don't know if I would say any of them is like the MVP.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like I think it was just kind of like a perfect storm of events in that episode. And also like I've said before, like nothing in that finale totally shocked me. So, and I don't understand why people are so blown away by some of like the reveals.
I was shocked, Joyce. I'm a basic
So
beat.
basic.
So basic.
But I don't know. Like I don't think you can bet against a 2-time winner.
No.
Here. And I had Better Call Saul in third because that was a tremendous episode.
Nice.
I don't think it'll ever win writing Emmy. Or maybe it won't even win any Emmys, so we'll see.
We'll see. Maybe Ray. For we're switching out a limited series choice. Our favorites, or was our favorites. I don't know if it still is, but I have White Lotus winning on the back of its 20 nominations, including 9 acting nominees. Is that right?
8.
8. Sorry. So they didn't really love it, I guess. Only 8 nominees in the acting categories. I have White Lotus winning, then Dope Sick, Pam and Tommy, The Dropout, and Inventing Anna.
I also have the White Lotus here. I think it's just between the White Lotus and Dope Sick.
And here was my thinking, while they both did really well, the White Lotus had 20 nominations and Dope Sick had 14. I just get the sense based on the nominations, they just liked White Lotus. You know, sometimes you're just going to go with what they like.
So the thing is like, even though it had more, like Dope Sick did well too. So, and like, obviously the White Lotus's nominations are padded by the acting nominations,
right?
But Dope Sick also got some extra acting nominations. And I think there are some just craft elements of the White Lotus that you would nominate, but you wouldn't for Dope Sick, you know?
Right.
It's like the same thing like Succession. It's
Sure.
not gonna get into like cinematography or something, you know?
Right.
So let me see. White Lotus. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I got into 8, or I got nominations from 8 branches besides acting.
Mm-hmm.
And then Dope Sick. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's pretty tight if you don't count acting and series.
Right. Pretty tight, but still White Lotus on top.
Yeah. This is unhinged category.
So I have Pam and Tommy in third because obviously it performed better than these other shows. It had 10 nominations.
Yeah, it did. It's also crazy. I mean, it also more, you know, prosthetics and everything than like something like The Dropout.
But didn't get in prosthetics, right?
I don't know where it got in.
I don't think it actually got in for makeup.
It didn't get into writing or directing. So the thing is like The Dropout obviously underperformed. It only got 6. Like just the one acting nomination for Amanda. And then it got 2 in directing, right?
Right. Yeah.
So it had like writing and directing support, but it was just it feels like no one loves that show.
No, and it got 2 of its nominations from directing. So definitely, I don't know. For somehow Pam and Tommy had 10 nominations, has incredible prosthetic work, an unrecognizable Lily James and Sebastian Stan with the talking penis, and yet it did not get in. Angeline, Gaslit, Impeachment, Star Trek Picard, and Stranger Things were the 5 nominees there. I honestly think that maybe is because voters didn't realize it was prosthetics. That's how good it is. Is it possible they thought Lily James looks like that in real life? That she looks like Pam Anderson? Like,
no, because she doesn't.
No, I know, but I'm like, was it that convincing that people were like, oh yeah, that's because like Angeline got in, and you could argue it's a similar transformation on Emmy Rossum.
But I think, it got into non-prosthetic, right?
I don't know if it did.
I think it did. It got into non-prosthetic because like the only prosthetic element is the penis, right?
No, it's not, because all of it got in for non-prosthetic. It did, but no, like I think a lot of, I mean, unless what are you talking like what do we count as prosthetic? Because like Lily James has like a fake chest and like fake a lot on her body. is like not her. It's a lot of makeup work.
I mean, I haven't read the fine print of that category.
Well, it got in for non-prosthetic. That's fine. But anyway, I think it could have gotten.
Maybe they just rejected the penis. Okay.
I guess they did reject the penis. They did not like Clayton Davis's article about the penises, the year of the penis. They were like, not this year. Let's go next to TV movie, Joyce. We could do this one quick. Survivor, I have winning. Chippendale in second. Ray Donovan, Zoe, Extraordinary Christmas, and Reno 911, The Hunt for QAnon. Do you have Chippendale winning?
Obviously, I'm not changing this. Like, I don't care.
Go down with the ship. Love it.
Yeah, this is the only category I'm never going to change.
Moving on to limited series actress / TV movie actress. I have Lily. I talked about this yesterday. I'm going with it. Lily James winning for Pam and Tommy. Most transformational, show overperformed with 10 nominations. I think it's a very well liked performance, and like you were saying, I think the fact that it's about a scandal that is more nostalgic than like Theranos is made a difference for these shows. So I have Amanda Seyfried in second for The Dropout, then Julia Garner in third for Inventing Anna, Margaret Qualley in fourth for Maid, Toni Collette for The Staircase, and Sarah Paulson for Impeachment.
I think it's between Amanda and Lily. Now, I still have Amanda. I think she can still do it.
She's great on the show. It's an incredible performance. So would not be mad.
And I have Julie in third. Like I'm basically prioritizing the people whose series got in.
Same. I did the exact same thing. So. And I also think that they just like Julie Garner.
They do. Like I don't think she's winning here.
No. But
that show was a lot more successful, obviously, and got into limited series, unlike Maid.
Amazing.
Or The Staircase or Impeachment, even though Impeachment did really well for a show that flopped in September.
Yep. It makes you wonder if Impeachment was available earlier on Hulu, what might have happened, because I think that really hurt it.
Yeah. Or if they just held it, because it's funny because that show was delayed 2 years because it was supposed to premiere in September 2020, and when they announced that date, people were mad because they thought it could influence the election.
Correct.
And then obviously COVID. So and then like FX has it already had like a streaming contract with Netflix, so that's why there was no day after streaming on Hulu.
Tough beat. That I think that really hurt it. I really do.
Yeah, it's true.
For limited series TV movie actor, Joyce, I have our boy Michael Keaton, the greatest Batman, winning for Dopesick. And then
Let's just pretend it's for Batman.
And then I have Sebastian Stan in second for Pam and Tommy, Andrew Garfield in third for Under the Banner of Heaven, Colin Firth for The Staircase, Oscar Isaac for Scenes from a Marriage, and Himesh Patel for Station 11.
Yeah, same.
Seems like most people have that. That's the way our odds are shaping up. I think this is going to be one of the most...
This is a walk. This is like the lockiest.
It seems like the lockiest lock of any of these that we've talked about.
Yeah, just Keaton all the way. Congratulations to him. I'm glad he's going to win a big award.
Me too. We expected that
in second because again his show is in series. Also again, as I've said, an overdue nomination because he was snubbed for Kings and Political Animals
and Gossip Girl. For supporting actress in a limited series or TV movie, I have Jennifer Coolidge winning for The White Lotus, season 2 in production now. Love a limited series with the second season. Then I have Alexandra Daddario for The White Lotus in second. I have Natasha Rothwell for The White Lotus in third, Connie Britton for The White Lotus in fourth, Caitlin Dever for Dopesick, Mare Winningham for Dopesick in fifth and sixth, and my girl Sydney Sweeney in seventh in my picks, but first in my heart for The White Lotus.
Wow. I can't believe you don't even have her in the top 3.
No, because I think she was like the most shocking nominee. So she's like the cousin Greg of this category.
Oh my God, where did I? Oh, here. I have Jen in first, like everyone basically. But I have Caitlin in second. I think Caitlin can upset her. I'm not gonna predict it right now, but I think she can do it.
Wow.
Because
so you're saying I should move her up from 5th?
Yes.
Okay.
Because she has like the most like heartbreaking arc on the show, and she's really great on it. And obviously also an overdue nomination since she was snubbed for Unbelievable. So she's in here, and the show did well.
All right, I put her up in second. I'm changing my mind. You convinced me.
I think Jen can still win, and I think people want her to win. Like
it does feel like very obviously that people want her to win. I think she's a beloved actor and like was really fun on the show. And I think, and is returning for a second season of the show.
She's playing the same character
for a limited series. So you love it. But so I think that'll help maybe, who knows?
And not that like applause means anything, but she presented at last year's Emmys, only her from the White Lotus, and she got a pretty healthy round of applause from the crowd. So
really
and even though there's 5 White Lotus people here, again, they need to kill the unlimited ballot. Just completely ridiculous to suggest there's only 2 shows, or basically this just tells us they only watch 2 shows.
The unlimited ballot has to go. It just makes it not fun.
It's so stupid. And it's like, this really doesn't like their logic was that there's so much TV now, so we need unlimited slots so people can vote for all these shows. But no, you're just encouraging people to vote for highly visible, highly seen shows, and then encourage their laziness and just vote down the ballot for everyone from that same damn show.
Correct. It just doesn't work. Supporting actor in a limited series, or TV movie, I have Murray Bartlett winning for The White Lotus. And then I have Seth Rogen in second for Pam and Tommy, based on the fact that Pam and Tommy has 10 nominations, including a series nomination. I have Jake Lacy in third for The White Lotus because I just absolutely love him on The White Lotus. I think it's a great performance. Peter Sarsgaard and Michael Stuhlbarg in fourth and fifth for Dopesick. Steve Zahn in sixth for The White Lotus, and Will Poulter in seventh for Dopesick.
Wow. I also have Murray and Seth 1, 2, but I have Will Poulter in third.
Wow. We went from not even predicting him to you have him in third place.
Now, I think he's the most likable of these 3 from Dopesick.
Certainly true.
So, yeah. So, but again, this feels like this is a cursed category. No shade to any of these people here.
I mean, Murray Bartlett was awesome. He's my favorite part of the show outside of Jake Lacy. And I think the fact that Jake got in, to me, even this is kind of circuitous logic, but I'm like, it actually shows that Murray is even stronger than maybe you think, even though he's definitely a favorite, is because so much of Jake's scenes are with Murray. It's like their interplay is really what makes the show so
I mean, if you're going to force me to vote for a White Lotus actor in this category, I'm going to vote for Jake Lacy.
I mean, he's great, but I think Murray is going to win. So.
Yeah, it's also kind of crazy that both if he and Jen win, their buzz would have lasted a full year.
But I think it goes with what you were saying yesterday, is that that helped. Well, I don't know, White Lotus was not polarizing. I think people really liked it and kind of were wrapped up in the mystery of it, and then maybe kind of not disappointed, but it zigs a little bit when you think it's going to zag at the end. And then it moved on and it was an August show. But I think it does help that people are just yeah, the White Lotus probably still hangs around in your memory as a good show, and none of the other shows that came kind of usurped it. And so people are just going to vote for him, no problem. Yeah. That helps.
And nothing arrived. And again, it also underperformed over the winter against last year's or last cycle's shows, right? And now they're gone because they're not eligible here.
That's right. For movie limited series directing, I actually have Station 11 winning.
Wow.
Love it. Love the finale. Incredible work. I have Dopesick in second, White Lotus in third, Maid, and then the 2 dropouts, Iron Sisters and Green Juice, rounding out the top 6.
I'm just gonna go for the White Lotus for now.
So White Lotus is a favorite.
Yeah, I can see Dopesick winning this and White Lotus winning writing.
I have White Lotus winning writing, which we'll get to in a moment. I think it's much more of a writer's show than a director's show, even though Mike White did both.
Yeah, for sure. That's why I was maybe I'll do Dopesick here, but I had to move on. So.
And then for writing, I have White Lotus winning, Dopesick, Station 11, The Dropout, Maid, and Impeachment.
Yeah, I think I have White Lotus. Yeah, again, White Lotus or Dopesick, so which are really the only two shows they like a lot.
Right. So I picked Station 11 in directing because I think it is actually directing powerhouse. I think it stands out from these others. And is slightly different. And while it didn't get a series nomination, I would argue it performed admirably, getting not just Himesh Patel in, but it got writing and directing and also a score nomination. It feels like that show is like on the cusp of an actual series nomination. I could argue it probably could have gotten in. I mean, I think it had, let me see. I don't have it here. Womp womp. But it had a decent amount of nominations, I guess I would say. So
Station 11 is the show that would benefit from the demise of an unlimited ballot.
it had 7 nominations. There we go. And I think it would have benefited from a demise of an unlimited ballot for sure. And that's why I think it was liked enough that it could actually win like one of these big like awards like directing.
So in directing, I think everything that's won so far has been nominated for series.
Right.
Um
But I think Station 11 just missed series. That's my take. So it was watched.
I mean, that series lineup just deranged.
It's definitely deranged. It has more.
I love it so much. Don't get me wrong.
I mean, Inventing Annie getting in is just truly wild. That's like the most wild.
And it's also like, you know, again, like Pam and Tommy getting in without writing and directing support. It was just like, it just felt like everyone was just watching it because they were just like, ooh, let's watch the show about Pamela Anderson. And
I mean, the shows that got in were definitely the shows that people wanted to watch rather than like the shows that were quote unquote good. Like Station 11 is not as entertaining as watching Inventing Anna. It's like the difference between eating like a salad and a bag of potatoes.
It feels like it's like, it's not homework, but it feels like it's like you have to pay attention.
Yeah.
And I do feel like, you know, after like if you come home, whether or not you come home or you're still working from home, like after a day of work and you just want to unwind with a TV show and just you know, maybe some mindless TV or just TV you don't have to really think hard about,
right,
then you might not watch Station 11 right away.
So now we have the last few categories here we could kind of burn through, let's say. But we have competition program. I have RuPaul's Drag Race winning, Amazing Race, Top Chef, The Voice, Nailed It, and Lizzo's Watch Out for the Big Girls.
I have Ru winning. I do want Tar to win again, but I think they're just so lazy.
Yeah. For variety talk series, Joyce, I have John Oliver winning again, Twist. I have Jimmy Kimmel in second and Seth Meyers in third. I have Colbert in fourth and Daily Show and Trevor Noah in fifth.
I have Seth in second.
I don't think Seth, I would say, I think from a show perspective that this is the ranking of these shows as they've been most successful this year. So I don't think that the Late Show.
I don't think that matters because
it doesn't, but that's how I ranked it. Because I was like,
it's so annoying. It's like similar to reality competition. It's just like they just won't award any other show. Like once they get in, it's like they're stuck in a rut.
Right.
And they just won't award anyone else.
I have SNL winning for Variety Sketch Series. What a twist. With a Black Lady Sketch Show in second. We don't even need to talk about this. There's 2 nominees. I'm sure you have SNL winning as well.
SNL underperformed this year, but it could count on this category.
And I actually have it in the next category too. Variety Series Directing, SNL, Don Roy King, usually the guy you want to see win an Emmy, but I have him winning. I have Last Week Tonight with John Oliver, and then Late Show with Stephen Colbert, Black Lady Sketch Show, and Seth Meyers, rounding out the top 5.
Yeah. And then writing, Oliver.
I have Oliver and I have Trevor Noah in second for The Daily Show.
So
good writing.
Yeah.
And then SNL, Colbert, and the Black Lady Sketch Show. So John Oliver, congratulations on more Emmys, I guess, is the takeaway.
I mean, at a certain point, they stopped awarding Jon Stewart and started awarding Colbert for the Colbert Report, not for Late Show with Stephen Colbert.
I think if you were going to, personally for me, as someone who watches these shows and like watches the clips on YouTube, if you were going to give Colbert an Emmy, it should have been for the pandemic year when he did most of his shows from home. I thought the show was incredibly engaging. He was very in a lot of ingenuity, like was one of an early adopters to that format. He was like the first late night host to actually do it in 2020. to like go into his house. I remember him doing the first one maybe in his bathtub. It was like very fun. Now that he's gone back to his studio, I think the show has become what it was, which is a totally fine show. But I thought it was like leveled up in the pandemic era when they were doing it from home. So I think he should have won for that.
There for the election special last year.
Right.
So
Sure.
it's like they just refuse to do anyone else but John Oliver right now. I think it's 1-6. So it's tied Letterman right now. So when it wins again this year, they'll have 7 and they'll only be behind Jon Stewart, which has 11. So
get that pre-write ready if you're watching this. Make sure we get it. Top state John Oliver just top David Letterman in this Emmy category or something.
Yeah.
Get the SEO. Joyce, this was so much fun. We'll come back next week. We didn't even talk about this. Do you want to do we could do more of this? We could do creative arts Emmys, or we could even do our initial Oscar picks, because the prediction center is actually open.
I've done neither of those yet. So
maybe we'll figure out what we want to do.
I mean, technically we already did.
We were
initial Oscar picks.
We did, but we could check back in at 6 months. I would be
a lot of things have changed.
Yeah, a lot of things have changed, but we'll figure it out. We'll be back next week. All right, bye.